Num num. Num num. Birdie num num.
And when I have understanding of computers, I shall be the supreme being. God isn't interested in technology. He knows nothing of the potential of the microchip or the silicon revolution. Look how he spends his time. 43 species of parrots. Nipples for men.
Don't do that, Jesus Christ! You're gonna get me killed! Out of here!
Oh, Billy.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
Welcome, everybody, to Aeon Byte, to AB Live. Not just live on the tubes, but if you want something less corporatist, we also are streaming live from Rockfin and Rumble. And, of course, there will be a replay on all podcast channels. But welcome, everybody, to this world where men still have nipples. My name is Miguel Connor, and I am your Pompatus of Gnosis. And we got a hunka burning Gnosis show today. As always, with us, it is always a pleasure to have David Block. David, how are you?
That's great. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you for having me on again. Such short notice.
You're like part. You're like part of the team now. It's like, you know, we got to do it or else it is an Aeon Byte. And as we were talking before, now maybe you can't do future shows because now that Sweden has joined NATO, you might be there with a rifle marching in your border for Russians and Chinese.
Yeah, the madness is spreading for sure.
The god of war, the war pigs. It is interesting because, I always struck by was Heraclitus. All his beautiful theology did say that the true God was war. War was the foundation of the entire universe. So what are you going to do? He might not be wrong. But here we are. We are the peacemakers here and the cheesemakers. And with us, too, we got somebody who's a great peacemaker and a cheesemaker. Blessed is the Moondog Vance. Vance, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. No short of, nothing short of cheesy comments here. So
keep them coming.
Yeah, I'm ready for the apocalypse and the Matrix and time and all that stuff. So gonna be interesting.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and you better feel fine, as the song goes, or as James True, best apocalypse ever. Revelations. So awesome. We'll definitely get to David's presentation in a minute. Good to see everybody over there already in the chat. Chester, I see Graham Pong. HP Lovecraft is there with the old ones and others. And as always, if you have any questions for David or remarks, or you simply want to support the show, please super chat them and we can separate them from the audience and get to your questions, remarks, complaints, insults, whatever you want to do. It's your call. Not much else in the house keeping. I'll have a bigger announcement yet, but yeah, Astronosis is semi-official. And David will be one of the presenters. So it's going to be amazing. Great group of guests, still adding events and other things, but it's pretty much there. So get your early bird tickets now for the next month, $20 cheaper, and hope to see you there on August 9 and 10 at the Theosophical Society in Wheaton once again. And please support this show in any way you can. Like, subscribe, share. One-time donations is great. There's many tiers at Patreon, including a simple $1 tier if you got holes in your pockets due to the monkey shines of Archons. And let's keep the Gnosis going. I can't do it without you. Great shows coming on. In the next week or so, we will go Philip K. Dick heavy. We will talk about Philip K. Dick and Taoism, Philip K. Dick and artificial intelligence. We will add in Elvis there. So the great shows with the theme of Philip K. Dick and his promise or nightmare for where we are today. A show on Santa Muerte coming on next week. And great content coming the next coming in March and the rest of spring. So I think that's all I got under my tool belt. David, do you want to take us away?
Yes, let's start. Now, the presentation should be up now. Do you see the presentation? There we go. Thank you.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Oh, somebody in the chat I was looking about, are you going over a movie? We should say this is the first part of a trilogy, and you will, on the third presentation, you will go over a movie, The Lord of the Rings. But
Yeah,
maybe tell people about the
exactly.
trilogy you're doing now.
Yeah, I start with the presentation of the trilogy. It's a 3-part series. Part 1 is the present, of course, the Apocalyptic time clock matrix, end times and revelations. Part 2 will be the Tower, necromancy, and the search for eternity. And Part 3, decoding the esoteric lore of the Lord of the Rings. And it will be very interesting with the Lord of the Rings. I decoded it before, but it was a very long time ago. And of course, I know much more now, changed perspective. And I have some information from a previous InfoWar, Alex Jones. He invited the Lord of the Rings society over there, but they took it away. But I downloaded that part, so I have it. Now I will upload it on my channel, and I will quote some of it. There they talked about the tape Tolkien was on, who was buried for a long time, and they found the tape, and they are you can hear Tolkien talk in a very sincere tone, but the tape is gone for now. I think it ended up at BBC, and I don't think they will ever get it back. But I have the part, InfoWar part, where the Society of Tolkien Society is, and talk about that tape they found. So I will upload it on my channel. I hope it will be there and not taken away, but I will try.
Yeah, and for the audience, if you want David's channel, his YouTube channel, I have it on the show notes. So go to the show notes. There's the link.
Yeah, and I will quote Tolkien from the tape. And it's a very unknown tape because it disappeared when Alex Jones' channel disappeared from YouTube. They have never uploaded it again.
Wow.
So it will be interesting, I hope. So the 3-part series will end up with decoding of the Lord of the Rings. But there is a reason for these 2 parts before that. So if you go through all of the parts, you will understand Lord of the Ring in a much more profound depth of understanding. Now, this part, the Apocalyptic time clock matrix, end times and revelation, is about 5 parts. The first one is the boatman, Enter Sandman, Dead but Dreaming, To Seed New Life, Eridu and Enki. And I will present the second part, the Tower. So I have it in brackets there. But it's 5 parts in this part. So let's go back to the Watcher series a little bit and to Lucifer. And you have to understand what happened with Lucifer or Prometheus, where when Zeus chained him on Caucasus Mountain. The idea from Zeus' side was to get to know what Lucifer knew, because Lucifer is one mask of Lucifer is Janus, and Janus have 2 faces. It means that he can see the past, the future, into the metaphysical and into matter. So he's all-knowing, and Zeus is not all-knowing. Rather, you should get the idea that he's a demigod. He's probably Marduk, but also Enlil. I think is a combination of Marduk and Enlil. And there is a reason for that as well. I will not go into it here. But Marduk is a half-god. And there is a reason why he became the Olympian gods of God. Lucifer had stolen the fire from Zeus, or Prometheus had stolen the fire from Zeus. He wanted to give it to humanity. Lucifer, Prometheus, can see the future. And he saw the boatman, Noah, crash landing on shore, meaning that he failed his mission. And I'm going to talk about that mission later on. I call Noah a boatman, and even Gilgamesh was a boatman. And these myths are very entwined with each other. But Lucifer saw that Enlil, Marduk, Zeus would try to drown humanity in a flood. And if he would succeed, now this is not only about water as a physical water, this is about much, much more. It is about memory, language, science, and so on. So what Enlil wanted to do, and Marduk Enlil wanted to do, was to take away humanity's memory and also the soul. Now, you can't really lose your soul, but the soul can be so far in the dark that you will not get it, or you can't reach it. And with this spark, Prometheus wanted humanity to be able to rise up again. Otherwise, the humanity would end up like an android race after the flood. And of course, that is exactly what Enlil wanted. He wanted to drown humanity in memory or into forgetting, to not remember the past, who we are or who we were. So Lucifer, Prometheus, gave Alo the spark, and Alo is also Nama. And Alo Nama is a Nephilim. So she get the spark from Lucifer to carry it over from one matrix to the next. Because when the water comes, it is a water divider, meaning a shift in the matrix, a profound shift in the matrix. Now, if you understand that water is memory, nation, language, you can get the idea that this matrix shift is a huge thing. It's a very harsh ordeal where human lose the memory, previous memory, who they were or what they can become or what they have achieved. So Alo get the spark from Lucifer because Lucifer, Prometheus see that Noah will crash land. He will not succeed. And that Noah has failed is also into the right-hand path, esoteric lore, not only the left-hand path. Even the Lurianic Kabbalists know this. So Alo, her name is also alternately spelled Elio, which reminds us of Elio, the children of the Nephilim. She may even be one of them, an old pre-flood spirit. Even though she is half human, she can also appear as an owl. Now, an owl is a very important symbol. An owl can see in the dark, and an owl is wise. The Nephilim is really an upgrade to be able to hold the spark within them. And what is the spark then? Doesn't say that much to say spark. It's a program in our DNA to be able to ignite our DNA who have been shut down after the flood. 22 strands, or junk DNA, as the scientists call them, of course. But this is also a shutdown when the matrix changed. Our DNA shattered, memory shattered, language shattered, nations shattered, and the flood who smash and destroy civilization. It's a very upheaval thing for humanity, a huge shift. And we have to start all over again if the boatman fails. And I will talk about it later on. Now, Alo, the owl, I invoke the messenger of God, she who comes with fire and sword, to proclaim her will to the aeons, who purifies and destroys the soul of man, who casts the false and the wicked into Gehenna, and elevates those with the pure heart on her flaming wings. So it is a warrior type of mentality she's talking about. She's not for everyone, right? You need the right attitude and a very powerful willpower to transform. Nothing is, you're not getting anything for free. You have to work for it. And she's all for the metaphysical warrior class, the one who want to ignite and to search in the dark for themselves. So the Nephilim is a huge misunderstanding, as always, right? Now, when you curse the Nephilim, you're really cursing yourself because you are one of them. Meaning you have the spark. You have the ability to ignite, to ignite your DNA, 22 strands of DNA. And when you do it, you also ignite your soul. Now, your soul, you cannot lose it, but your soul can be so far away from you, from your mind, from your understanding, that it's very hard to find it. Now you need something to ignite it again, to have a push. Now everyone has a soul, but the soul is dormant, waiting for you to ignite it. And this is the gift from Prometheus to you, carried over by Elo, the Nephilim, Nama, because Noah didn't succeed. He crash landed. Therefore, humanity has to get up again and rise up and start to evolve from a very primitive state with no memory and loss of language and so on. Without the spark, it would be even harder to find the soul or to ignite the 22 strands of DNA that is dormant in you. It is the young DNA. But you have it because you are one of the Nephilims. For sure, we have intermarriage with other groups of Homo sapiens kind, but you still have it in your body. So when you curse the Nephilim, you also curse yourself. I just want to point that out to you. Now, this spark buried deep in the darkness, in your own darkness, in your own unconscious, but you can find it through method. And we have to go into the unconscious part under the surface, and we have to dare, and we have to be brave, because there are layers of dark archetypes and memories, and it's not a easy ordeal, but you ain't got nothing for free. But the good part is it is there. They haven't taken it away from you, and you can ignite it, and you can rise up. And that is exactly what we have to do right now. And this is the gift of Prometheus. Now you had the soul before the wall, before this matrix, but the soul went back. Like if you convince humanity that they don't have a soul, now that's become your reality, and humanity is so far down into matter that the soul is like completely gone almost. Now you need to find the spark. Now you have to find the dark, find your spark in the dark labyrinth of your own unconscious. But it is there. So part 2, Enter Sandman. And let us exit light and see what's in the dark. Now we have the feminine and the masculine. And a lot of people is talking about this, but I don't think many people really understand what it means. Not even I mean, there are a lot of layers upon layers upon layers of understanding. I only talk in this framework. But the feminine is the dark, is the minus, it is the receptive, it is the womb, and it is the moon, and it is intuitive. And the masculine is, of course, expansion, to expand. This is fire, willpower, technology, and it is plus. Then why is masculine plus and feminine minus? Masculine expand through fire and force. And these two forces have to exist. Nothing would exist without it. Feminine is, of course, water and earth. Masculine is fire and air. And these elements are always in flow, never stand still. It's always in flux. And it's never in balance, almost never in balance. Either humanity expand or humanity withdraw. Either plus or minus. But always in movement. Humanity will never stand still. It will never happen. Either you go back towards the womb, towards the feminine, or you expand through the masculine, the plus, and you go away from the womb, further away from the womb. And we can see these forces in the very famous symbology Baphomet. And Baphomet has both feminine and masculine aspects to it. You have the fire torch, but you have also the breast. The fire torch is, of course, expansion, fire, willpower. Then you see the moon. Moon is feminine, and you have the womb. That's feminine, and it's dark, it is minus, it is withdrawal. So you can see this in humanity's history. When humanity starts to build up societies, we have plus, we go full force and fire and willpower to produce, to expand. This is a phase where humanity builds up their society, builds up hierarchy, rules, regulations, restrictions. And when humanity withdraws, collapse, society go back to a more primitive state towards Mother Earth, to the natural, you have more minus. And this is never at an equilibrium, ever. This is always in movement. But it seems like when we are on the expansion, many thousand years go by, and we all expand until we can't any longer, because we have reached so far away from the womb, from the feminine, from nature, that we start to withdraw. And it will be a dramatic event. So it's not a slow withdrawal, rather it is a collapse. Baphomet is, of course, a symbol of perfect balance with the feminine and the masculine, and you can achieve it within yourself. That you can work with these forces at the same time the forces work at the outside world, at the material world, but you can withdraw within yourself to feel, to manipulate these forces, to become the Baphomet, to become the perfect balance between the feminine and the masculine. And this is, of course, very important. It is to have perfect balance between logic thinking and your intuitive feeling, because sometimes you can't solve things with your mind. Sometimes you need to use your gut feeling and feel your way through the harsh ordeal on your evolution path with an esoteric method. And sometimes it is good to withdraw, just to meditate and to just observe what has happened within yourself. And then you should shut down your brain and go back to the womb. Now, Noah's Ark, of course, and we have Noah riding the storm for 40 days and 40 nights. And this is about the Hebrew letter Mem. And Mem's number is 40, therefore 40 days and 40 nights. And Noah tried to ride through the storm with the boat. And he is the boatman. He is the old boatman. And I think they have changed this around. I think what they are talking about really is the event after Atlantis, when Noah arrives. I think the timeline in the Old Testament shouldn't be taken too strictly. And I will talk about later on. Remember that time is an illusion. What they are talking about is event that will recur, will come back at us over and over again. It's like a loop, an archetype that plays out. So the date is not that important. It is important for us because we think it's interesting, and that's good. Nothing wrong with it. But if you are stuck with it, now, once again, with your logic brain thinking that you need to understand exactly when it happened, you will miss the point. But when the waters storm, it is because we have gone so far away from the mother's womb, and we have plus fire technology, force, masculine, building up until a collapse will happen. And when the collapse towards the womb happen, the water starts to shake. The water starts to storm. It is about science, technology, memory, force, and language. So when we have gone so far away from the womb, from the feminine, and the collapse starts, and remember the collapse goes very fast. It's not like slowly go back to the womb. It's like boom, just go straight back to the womb. And when the pull happens, the water shakes, and the boatman knows this, and he tries to save everything from the previous matrix over to the next, in order for humanity not to have to start all over again, to take over memory, language, nations, to the other matrix, the shift, the wall, over to the next matrix, to have it intact. To have the knowledge of the previous matrix is very important if you don't want to end up as prey to a certain group of people who will try to overbridge this wall, this matrix, with technology. And I call that archetype the tower builders. And they will always control you if the boatman fails. So you have more than one boatman. For example, we have the story of Gilgamesh, and Gilgamesh was a boatman. In the 12 tablets we have the story intact now, we can read a couple of things about Gilgamesh that is very, very important to understand. Gilgamesh have seen everything. He have experienced all. Anu granted him the totality of knowledge of all wisdom. He had experienced it all. He was very powerful, all-knowing person, or half god, more god than human. And Gilgamesh was a later boatman than Noah. He saw the secrets, discovered the hidden. He brought information of all time before the flood. And this is within the Gilgamesh mythology. I take that again because that's very important. He saw the secrets, discovered the hidden. He brought information of all time before the flood. He went on a journey and he met Noah, the old boatman. In the story of Gilgamesh, he meets Noah. And Noah is the old boatman, a failed boatman, but still alive. Now you can understand that in different ways. Maybe he met Noah not as a living person with a body, because this is about necromancy. This is about speaking with the dead, because the previous matrix is the dead. The perfect form of necromancy is to be able to distract or to take out information from the old matrix into the known, into this matrix, to be a boatman, to be able to travel between matrix realms. Because time is an illusion. It exists here where we are now. They are dead but dreaming. So when the boatman fails, the consequences is harsh. Especially if you have an esoteric elite who try to do the same as the boatman but with technology. And that is the tower. They do it with technology instead of esoteric knowledge. Now Noah failed and he crash landed, meaning that our memory of the past was wiped out. We don't know who we are. We don't know our past. Our language was shattered. And we started to devolve because the civilization was collapsing. At the same time, humanity devolved. And that's a bad state to be in. When you see the ruins of the great old cities, then you devolve at the same time. For the esoteric elite to build a tower, they could have the memory intact of the previous matrix because they overbridged it with technology, through technology. Now, who will rule who? It's a very easy and an obvious answer to the question. I don't have to answer that question because we all know who will come on top of things here. And of course, that's the purpose. And of course, that's no one knew it, but he failed. He wasn't stupid. And he had Alo on board with the spark, because Alo, Lucifer, Prometheus knew that humanity would end up as slaves under this esoteric elite, under Enlil and all that ilk. And maybe forever, or for a very, very long time, if it hadn't given us the fire from the gods, stole the fire from the gods to give to us the spark, buried deep within our body matrix as a program to ignite when we need it the most, in order for us not to be slaves forever. So we have mem, memory, and its language, and you can see mem means water. Noah traveled through mem to save memory, to save what's left of the old matrix over to the new one, because he knew what was at stake here. Prometheus knew what was at stake. Alien knew what was at stake. Everybody knew what was going on. The words a man speak are deep waters, a flowing stream, a fountain of wisdom, right? So language is much more than just a spoken language. We cannot express things with a limited language. Language is force, it is science. And what we choose for language will have an impact on our race, how we think, how we act, how we do what we do. So you have a new beginning when we arrive at the new matrix, and we have memory loss. And if I ask you what happened between 10,000 BC and 5,000 BC, nothing. It's a black void of nothingness. We can find some stones, we can find some ruins, but it doesn't say anything, because if we agree that the Atlantic period is real, then where is the civilization? Where is the technology? What happened? Nothing. It's wiped. A complete memory loss of nothingness. And this is a new beginning. The vaults of sin. The vaults of sin are located in the dreamlands, between the sphere of dreaming and waking. The vaults of sin exist beyond time and space. Time and space is an illusion. Time doesn't exist. The previous matrix is here with us now. We can access it, but if we don't have any memory of it, we can't access it, because what you can't imagine, you can't do anything about it. If the memory is not there, you are lost. Then we have the sunken city of Relye. And you can call it the great old ones. Cities deep underneath, in deep waters, dead but dreaming, lost civilizations collapsed. Atlantis and other civilizations who have gone under the previous matrix memory wipes. But they are there, and we can access it if we understand that that's the case. The first thing is to understand that they are there, and that is memory. And we start to understand this. We couldn't talk like this for 100 years ago. No, people thought I would be even more nuts than people think I am now. It's like no one would even listen.
Right.
But now, because of the scientific language, now we have language to express things like this, like the Matrix. And of course, it's thanks for the movie have done a lot of great here, because it has become an enrichment of our language, what we can express and talk about. Now we can understand what I'm talking about. This is a Maya illusion matrix. When the shattering happened, and I don't know if the shattering was between the matrix 10,000 BC, but I think, now I speculate, but I think the fairy, the gnomes and all these fairy creatures was shattered, their form was shattered, and they become orbs when the matrix went over to this one, or if it was even later on, because it seems to be more boatman moments, but it seems to be one big boatman moment every like 12,000 year ordeal here. It's speculation. But you can also say that you have a boatman moment when your body breaks down and your soul leaves. That's also a boatman moment. You don't remember a previous life, but that's a personal boatman moment. Now I'm talking about a collective boatman moment. And what I mean by that is a huge upheaval and a huge sudden change in our who we are and our surrounding, how we think about ourselves and our surrounding. It's like a huge apocalyptic shift. And I think maybe the fairy became orbs and was shattered. Their form was shattered. And maybe the gods couldn't take physical form after the shattering as well. They seem to be able to take form until 2000 BC, kind of a thing. But I won't say that I can't say that I know that, because there are many explanations that can be made about what's going on when they mean the gods walked among us. And then we have the story of Odin in Asa belief, Asa true. And he also, Asa Toth is or Asa Tahuti is a very close to Odin and what he stands for. And I would say that Odin was an esoteric master and not a god. He was a practitioner. He went through the evolution with esoteric method, and he became Odin. When we put these words together, the meaning of Asa Toth is the source of wisdom, and Odin is the source of wisdom. Wisdom is pure insanity, resulting in absolute freedom, laughter, energy, courage, and ability to look behind the veil of illusion that covers the true reality. Right? So he's kind of a boatman. He symbolizes the overcoming of illusion known as the cosmic yoke. Madness in the center of the universe is the emblem of irrational ecstasy and absolute freedom, because you have to be mad to understand, and you have to be viewed as such from the mainstream man who are sane and very intellectual. But that's your intellect will not take you that far, I'm sorry to say.
Oh, well.
Control madness is a good thing.
Divine madness of Plato.
Yeah, I will take you there. The well was guarded by Mimir, a shadowy being who became all-knowing by drinking the magical waters. Odin asked for a drink, and Mimir replied that Odin must sacrifice an eye for a drink. Odin gouged out his own eye, dropped it into the well, and was allowed to drink from the waters of cosmic knowledge. And then you have Samael, the blind god, and Samael is accused of being the demiurge himself, one of three in the Christian Gnostic lore, the Nag Hammadiya. Well, it's a misunderstanding, I have to say. The blind god is not a negative thing, and Samael is also the poison of a god. When you drink Samael's cup, you distort the reality, and you see through the illusion that is reality. You see through Maya, and you see the true world as it is. In the blind god, you have to go within. You can't look without. Then you will never get what we are talking about here. You have to go to the darkness, to the womb, You have to go back. And you have to be blind to the lies and the programming of you. And you have to open up your inner eyes in the darkness. You need to be the hermit with the lamp guiding you. But you are the one who have to put the other leg in front of the other. You have to do the journey through the dark. Feel it, be it, and embrace it. And all the darkness will be yours, transformed. So part 3, dead but dreaming. Time to end the night. So in the Bible, they're talking about the firmament. And the moon is a very important thing. Of course, the moon creates ebb and flow. It is the feminine. It is the womb. It is the unconscious. It is underwater. And you have to go down underwater, into the unconscious, into the dark. In the first chapter of Genesis, Moses wrote, "And God said, let there be rakia." That is, an expanse, which in a certain text, the scriptures is translated as firmament, in the midst of the water, and let it divide the waters from the water. What does it mean? This illusion of ours, the Maya, is made up of, you can call it different water tanks, but the reality is always around us. Time and space is an illusion. So you can go from one water tank to another, from one water to another water, or from one matrix over to the next matrix. You can do it with esoteric method. You can take information from previous matrix, from dead old matrix. You can awaken the great old ones and get to know them and distract and enhance your memory, ambition, and understanding of that previous epoch of humanity. They are dead, but they are dreaming, meaning that in dreams you will have an easier access to them. But you can also use a method to enhance the transmission between you and the great old ones. And you can visit this old matrix with method. You can travel there when you dream and so on, dream magic, and visit old civilizations. And this is a deeper kind of a slumber we are in, really. If we could understand this from a very early age, we would take it for granted if we were taught this. But as I said, there is a very deliberate fooling us very deliberately to deny access to this. And what you are not aware of, what you don't have in your memory and in your head, you cannot do anything about it. Evolution, the scientific evolution, is of course that 10,000 BC we lived in caves and we were very primitive, and there was nothing interesting at all there. It was very dry, boring, and we were stupid as shit. And of course,
You could drag women by their hair, at least. At least that's what cartoons say.
there was a lot of sex, at least, but that's
nothing
it.
else to do. Yeah, no streaming or anything. Video games. Yeah.
This is, of course, a way to program us not to search for the truth. If you understand the truth and that you can take it all back, you will become all powerful, all knowing as a boatman. Therefore, you can become a boatman yourself to travel through different matrix, and enter different water tanks or water matrix, because it is water within water. It is memory within memory. It is illusions in illusions, but time doesn't exist. This reality is all around us. All previous matrix is all around us and can be accessed. And this is really the art of necromancy, to speak to the dead, because the previous matrix are dead but dreaming. You can access them because time is an illusion. And necromancy is, of course, about a lot of things. You can speak to the dead relatives and so on. But according to me, the most profound form of necromancy is to go into the old matrix, the great old one, to pierce the veils between this matrix, to become a boatman through method, to be able to travel through water, through mem. When Lilith unites with Lucifer, the eye of Lucifer opens, and illusions of the world are shattered. This is what the serpent promised in the Garden of Eden, to shatter illusions. And this is, you do it through method, or you do it through technology. I don't recommend technology, of course, as you know. But if you ain't have a soul, now they have a soul, but their soul is so dormant that they can't find it. They can't ignite, they can't feel it, then that becomes their reality. And they start to tinker, they start to do it with technology instead. But you should do it through spirit. You should do it through method. Your body is your temple. The tower is not your temple. The boatman is your archetype. But you should not fail, of course. So the great old ones is, of course, the call of Cthulhu and the Cthulhu mythology. And we all know about this mythologies, about H.P. Lovecraft. And H.P. Lovecraft, I think, he had lucid dreaming, and he could travel there. And I think he was frightened by it, because really, according to history, he was a materialist and an atheist. Right. I don't know about that, but you can always explain away lucid dreaming and dreams as a natural phenomena. And I think maybe he viewed it as a natural phenomena to have dreams about this dark old ones, these great old ones. And he wrote a lot of books about it, and some movies have come about as well. I'm waiting for a very good movie about this. I don't know. I haven't seen one.
They are making the Call of Cthulhu. They are making it.
Okay.
So let's see how it is.
Yeah, I thought it would come sooner or later. Very interesting. Yeah. So one of these great old ones is Dagon. And Dagon is quite known these days because of the cult of Dagon in Africa, close to Egypt. They worship Dagon. Dagon and Cthulhu represent the death of the unconscious, out of which the primal forgotten instincts sometimes emerge to the light of consciousness. He is a sender of dreams and visions as nightmares, and his number is 777. That is Dagon. And Dagon, as I said, is worshipped by an African tribe. I remember it was a quite big thing before. Now it's more silent about that, but they are very interesting people. And there are a lot of connections between Dagon and Enki, as you can understand. Dagon is like a fish god residing in water. And you have Enki, and Enki is, of course, one. Enki and Enlil is the son of Anu, and Anu is the main god in Anunnaki pantheon. And you have Enlil, and Enlil is Jehovah. Enki is the dark one, like the devil. But Enki have more names. In Egypt, he was called Ptah, and in Greek mythology, he was Poseidon. So now we have Poseidon, water, memory, old god, old Anunnaki god. And it's very close to Dagon. And they have the same star, and their star is Sirius. And Sirius is a fixed star, and the number of Sirius is 33. As in Freemasonry, the 33 degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry is the highest degree. And in a lot of Freemason lodges, you have Sirius or had Sirius as their main symbol. And the right sun worship in Egypt, now in a lot of different periods in Egypt, but in some epochs there were the sun behind the sun was Sirius. It was the right sun worship. It was not our sun, but the sun behind the sun. And that is Sirius. And it is Enki's star and Dagon's star. And both of them have a water aspect to them. Now you may recall also that Jesus was crucified at an age of 33, and that they found Jesus through the Bethlehem star, and Bethlehem star is probably Sirius. Therefore you have a connection with Jesus and Sirius as well. And to say that the character Jesus was an Enlil worshipper, or that is his father Jehovah, is very wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry to say. They turned it around. But more attribute to Dagon are the hermit in the tarot deck. And the hermit, I talked about him before, it's the esoteric practitioner withdraw within himself into the darkness, and he has to hold the lamp and light up the darkness within to understand it and to find his way. And he is the one who has to put the other leg in front of the other and do this journey. You cannot be told this journey. You have to do the journey. You have to walk the walk. And that's very hard and very harsh. And one more time, I think the real Jesus, I think, is Ben Stada. He was one who wanted to explore the darkness and transform it and show you a way how to do it. But he cannot walk the walk for you, but he can pass on the lamp to you. To do the same, you can do the same as I do, and even better. But humanity doesn't want to know that, because it implies that they can't watch TV anymore and they have to do some serious work, and that's shit. They rather sit and wait for a flip-flop Jesus to save them, but it will never happen, ever, because that's just counterproductive according to nature. You have to learn and you have to transform, feel your way through, and be engaged. When Shakti unites with Shiva in sexual act, Shiva's eyes opens and pierce the veil of illusion, Maya. This is what the serpent promised in the Garden of Eden. And of course, if you have an elite using technology, you should know that the towers is rising up right in this moment, because we are in the end times and the new matrix start to rise around us. So you will see a Shiva statue outside CERN, of course. And I would say that CERN is the heart of the machine, the heart of the tower, and you will see it rise. It is not the first tower. I will talk about the first tower later on in this presentation, but it is a very in-your-face tower, according to me. For those with eyes to see, they will see it. And you have the Shiva's eye on the card, the tower in tarot. At least in Aleister Crowley's deck, you have the eye of Shiva over the tower, the card tower. Part 4, to seed new life. What happened when the matrix shift? What happened when we have to start all over again? Well, we will have to seed new life or start all over again. And Saturn is the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. And in the North Pole of Saturn, you have this hexagon. And a hexagon is, of course, six-sided, and a very important symbol for the elite. Saturn is a very important symbol for the elite. And of course, you have the beehive. And the beehive is one of Illuminati's main symbol. And the owl. And the beehive is made up of hexagons. And they are building these honeycombs and spreading life. They are the one who spreads pollen. They are the one who spreads nature. They are the ones who seed life. They are the one who makes flower bloom, trees grow, and so on. Now, the bee is a very common symbol. You can, when you start to see it, you will see it. Napoleon had bees in his clothing. And as I said, Illuminati used bees. It was very important in Egypt. The honey was very important for many reasons, of course. The bee is a very important symbol. One very interesting thing is, of course, Yggdrasil. In this framework, you see the tree have huge roots going deep down into earth and pumping up water from the old matrix, old worlds. The root goes down deep, sucking up memory stored in the tree. And Yggdrasil is, of course, the famous Asa belief, Asa true tree. And on the tree, you will find different words, metaphysical words, and you can travel to them. These words exist. They exist in the metaphysical, and through the runes and method, you can visit them. This is not like fantasy. There are methods how to go there. In the same way, you can go back to Relye, the old cities who are sunken. You can visit a lot of metaphysical realms, and they all exist, and you can access them. And of course, this is something they don't want you to know, that you have that power. And of course, when you do, you can distract information, knowledge. You can get new spiritual guides, gods that helps you on the journey, helps you in information, unlocks deep memories forgotten by humankind, and so on. They can empower you. They can show you reality. So one thing you should ask yourself about the Yggdrasil: have this word existed in previous matrix among us, like in matter, but they have gone over to a metaphysical state because of the shift in the matrix, because of the shift in the water tanks, because they all exist here, we can access them, but they are not in matter anymore. They have gone over. And Yggdrasil nourished them through pumping up water with its roots, and the roots go deep down into earth, deep down in unconscious, deep down in the underworld, pumping up memory to sustain these words of Yggdrasil in memory, in human memory, so you can access them still. And there are 9 words on Yggdrasil, and they are Asgard. Now I tell you the Swedish name of them, but Asgard, Midgård, Jotunheim, Alfheim, Nidavellir, Niflheim, Muspelheim, and Helheim. And maybe these words have been much more physical, in your face realities. I don't know. But either way, they've gone over to an old matrix and ain't here with us anymore. But you can access them. And Yggdrasil nourished them with spiritual water, with memory, in order for them not to be forgotten by men. And you can access these words through runes, through method. And they are far removed from us, but still they exist. So let's go over to part 5 and to Eridu and Enki. Now the old matrix is gone. We have started to spread life through the bee. Nature is flourishing and the vegetation comes back. Now it's time to seed civilizations and start build the infrastructure in place again. Not for the first time, not as the scientist lies about. The civilization didn't start 5000 BC. Civilization restarted 5000 BC. But what happened before 5000 BC and 10,000 BC, we don't know. We don't have any memory of it. And of course, you might say, we don't have any memory of 3000 BC either. But
Yeah.
what I'm talking about is, of course, the fact that if we esoteric people agree that this Atlantis existed and that it was a high technology culture, then we have to ask ourselves, what happened when it collapsed? Why did it just disappear? There is a huge blank between 10,000 BC and 5,000 BC. We doesn't find anything there. And we should, of course, at least found more profound ruins and so on. Now you can claim that it is buried in deep layers of mud and so on. But today we have technology and we can find the pyramids. And if you believe Graham Hancock and people like that, they claim it is 12,000 BC. Therefore, at least we know there were huge building infrastructure technology back then. So what happened between 10,000 BC and 5,000 BC? Nothing. And you can argue that the pyramid are even older. Now, if you are into the alien paradigm, you see aliens everywhere. Everything is aliens when it's more it is profound esoteric symbology going on here, of course. And we see this bird with a bucket of water, and we have established why water is very important. He is spreading knowledge, science, language, nations, and he starts to seed the new life. You start to see the pine cone. And it's also a symbol for man, to awaken man with the third eye, to evolve humanity again, not for the first time. It's just a lie. Again. Therefore, he has wings. He fly and spread life. He is a kind of a bee, but also a god related to Enki and Enlil and so on. Now, Enlil wanted to drown humanity in the story, but you shouldn't take it as that. It is more profound than that. He wanted to drown humanity's memory, to wipe clean the memory in order for humanity to go back to primitive state, easy to control. So it's a struggle between two forces here. Enlil, who want to have like an android human race, easy to control. In the mythology in Sumer, it states that Enlil was pissed off because of the noise humanity made. Now, what kind of a noise? It can be many different noises through technology. And this noise spread over our solar system. So it went off our planet. So it could be technology that could take us to different planets. But it could also be esoteric knowledge, how to separate your light source soul from the body and soul travel. And it disturbed Enlil. Now we want humanity to be drowned in memory, to be drowned into a primitive state. Therefore, no noise. Now Enki had a different idea. He wanted to evolve humanity again for a reason. And that means new language, new memory, and the start of civilization again. Now he has to teach humanity the art of creating civilizations all over again. And of course, this bird-like creatures, gods, angels, use the tree of life, Syrian tree of life, to put these pine cones up. And in some pictures, they take it down also and go away. So it's a harvesting and spreading of life, including humanity, or with humanity in mind. Because you need the art of agriculture before the art of civilization and infrastructure. So you have to start with Enlil and the farming and Ninurta and Saturn, schedule, time, rules, regulations. And when you have food supply, you can start to build big cities or city-states. And this is the art of civilization, or art of creating huge civilization. But in Sumer, it was different city-states raging war against each other. So it was in a state of war all the time, and different city-states worship different Anunnaki gods because they have different ideas what they want to do with humanity, how to control humanity At the same time, let them create the infrastructure or build the infrastructure they need. And from an elite perspective, if you have technology and you have memory intact from the previous matrix, then the goal is to recreate the infrastructure they had in the previous matrix, but they need workers to do their bidding for them. In other words, they had the blueprint because they have the memory intact from the previous matrix, and now it was a matter of restart and take it back through us, or with us as their workers. We are the ones who spread life, spread civilization. We are the pine cone. We are part of the seeding of life. And the first city was Eridu. And Eridu was Enki's town, of course. Because it is Enki line who are most, who want this civilization building the most, not Enlil. Remember, Enlil want us as an android species, easy to control. Because what Enki is doing now is a little bit dangerous, isn't it? When they start to build the civilization, they need to educate us. They need to give us a new language. They need to transform us. Now we start to grow. You can't have bumbling idiots creating advanced buildings. It doesn't work. You can't have primitive workers building ziggurats. Yeah, the scientists believe the slave threw up some rock and conjured up the pyramids, but they themselves are complete morons, of course. It's not true, and it's nonsense. You need very advanced people to create advanced buildings. It doesn't work otherwise. And you have this man with the fish suit. And of course, it's an alien, right? No, it is Enki, of course, rising up as Poseidon to seed new life, to spread the art of civilization, to start it all over again. And he has his bucket with water with him, the bucket of memory, language, science. And Enki, Poseidon, and Ptah is the same god. Therefore, we know that he is about science, magic, language, memory, water. To spread it all in order for them to get it all back again. And the cuneiform became very important because, as I said, mem is about language. And language is very important for what we can express and do. And you have today we have a language based on fire, force, and science. But you have a language in between. You can call them cuneiform, the hieroglyphs, the runes, and the Hebrew letters. They are a language in between form and force. So form is only symbols and is very subtle. The in-between is between the language we have now and the form language. That is very subtle. Today we have a very exact language and a very scientific language. 1 + 2 + 3 is 6, and you have tried to use the language not to misunderstand nothing, but in order to do so misunderstand everything. And you can use the language to manipulate, lie, and do whatever, and they do it in full front today. It's all about lie, deceit, play around with language, fool you into believing stupidity and nonsense. But this language in between, the hieroglyph, was a symbology, and you can understand it in a lot of different ways. Therefore, you have to combine the hieroglyph with different hieroglyphs. Then you have a bigger picture of what's going on there, and you have to use your brain, and that's not good today. It's apparently not, but it is a language of symbols. And the Hebrew language is also a language of symbols, because each Hebrew letter means something. Like, for example, mem, the number is 40, the meaning is water. And the watchers have said that the Hebrew language is very important and very powerful if you want to ignite your 22 strands of dormant DNA. It's much more than a language. It's a huge thing. But in the previous matrix, you had probably for a period of time a form language. And form can be vibration, that you sound, you make a sound when you pronounce the words in a way that you can't misunderstand it. It can be vibration, energy, and color. That language is very hard to manipulate people with. It's a more direct language. And as you remember, when the Tower of Babylon fell apart, God confused the language. He confused mem. He destroyed and shattered the unity in language. Because language is very important, who we are, what we can do, what we will become. How we start to use language against each other says something about the human race. Observe what's happening today, how they use language for nonsense games, and don't go into it because it's just rubbish, of course. They are not use language to be clear and try to communicate with each other. They are trying to use language to manipulate, lie, and deceive each other. And that's where we are today.
Very true.
So this cuneiform, according to me, you will end up in between of this language, this form and force language. It is in between the cuneiform Hebrew, the runes, the hieroglyphs. But what can you do with the powerful language, all about force, science, and masculine fire? You can do a lot with that language as well. The cuneiform is there for a reason. Why did the Anunnaki give us the cuneiform? According to Sumer mythology, it was Nabu who gave us this language. And Nabu is the same as Hermes, for example, and as Horus in Egypt. But you need a very exact language sometimes when you're going to build technology and infrastructure. And Enki, another name for Enki, as I said before, is Ptah, Poseidon. What is a pyramid? Because I think you might be confused. What is the connection between Ptah, Poseidon, and Enki? I mean, water god in Greek mythology, Ptah in Egypt, and Enki in Sumeria. What is the connection here? And I will make it very clear for you here. When the water storms, reality trembles, and the pyramid pumps up water. The pyramid is based on water. And the pyramid is technology. And some people argue that it is a nuclear plant. And I agree, it is a kind of a nuclear plant. And it pumps up water. Underneath the pyramid, it is water aqueducts pumping it up. And water, you can charge water with electricity. And you can have a huge effect. And let's say you mix the water with like mercury and other chemicals, what can be achieved, I don't know. I am not into nature science, but I just throw it out there. Certainly, the Nazis used mercury in the Bell project, and they were very interested in nuclear weapons and so on. The art of water is vast, and it's a huge, huge thing. And you have to start to think about it and see it in front of you in order for you to get it. But water is the most powerful element. Not fire, not earth, not air, but water. And you have these boats. The pharaoh was buried with these boats. And the scientist was, of course, like, look, they were stupid. They couldn't travel with this boat so far. They couldn't travel to America. Well, this is a symbology for a boatman, for a necromancer who can travel between words and illusions, and also travel the underworld and travel to the afterlife and so on. And it is as simple as that. But of course, if you only view everything in material, with material eyes, you will be blind. You will be the blind, not the blind Samuel, but the blind fool. The real blind fool. Like the blind fool who doesn't understand that he is a fool. But that's what it is. Because Egypt was all about esoteric, metaphysical understanding. And as I talked about before, Dagon and Enki is very close similarity between them. Both are associated with water. Enki is also Poseidon, and Dagon is also about water, right? And both of them have Sirius as the fixed star. And now we come to the black sun, of course, because the black sun is Sirius. In astrology terms, it is the black sun, or the sun behind the sun. And one shaft of the pyramid points to Sirius, and you can debate it because the star is moving and so on. When did they build it? How can they track it? And so on and so on. Sure. But I know that they worshipped Sirius as the real sun in periods of time. And I know that the Freemason have Sirius in very hard esteem. They have it in their lodges. USA have it in their flag. And it is one of the 15 fixed stars that is very important. Pointing out of this matrix. It's a pointer to something that exists beyond the matrix, beyond the zodiac. That is the limit of this matrix reality. Now, there is much more to it than that, because this realm is like realms within realms, water tanks within water tanks, water within water. So if you explore this matrix, you can go to many places underneath us, under earth, like a Mentid. You can go into mythology cities in the Hindu and the Buddhist traditions. They all exist. You can go to Yggdrasil and the worlds in Yggdrasil. All this exists. So this matrix is huge, and it is waters within waters, realms within realms. So you don't have to leave in a hurry because you have a lot to discover here. And you ain't a prison here if you can travel freely. A prison is one who are prisoned within his own body. then this material realm become a prison, but only because you have allowed them to create the prison for you. Now it takes some effort, that is true. And as I said, our soul is like, is far gone, but it's still there. And you still have the spark, the gift from Prometheus. And Alo gave it to you. They cannot hold you prison here. And this is first and foremost a prison for your mind. If they manage to convince you that this is nonsense, then it is what it is. And for the most people, it is. And you can wait for Jesus, and you can wait to die, and you can convince yourself that you will come to heaven, hell, or that nothing remains when you die. But it will not take you anywhere. Not until you allow this to be a possibility, you start to search for the truth. And this is a method. It is not a dream. It is kind of a dream, right? But it is not a pipe. It is a method. Therefore, you can take it back. You can ignite, and you can do the journey and feel it for yourself. Then you don't have to listen to a crazy Swede telling you this. You can explore and feel it through yourself. So now we come to more modern times. What is a nuclear plant? Well, I was born and raised close to a nuclear plant. We could see it from my little town of 1,750 people. And we could see it all because it was in a bay. And the nuclear plant's name was Forsmark. And I get a job to do a documentary in Forsmark to document the last turbine change. They changed the heart of the machine. It was a huge thing. And they thought it would be the last one. So they wanted to document it. And I said, yes, I can take that job. And during this time, this was like 20 years ago, it was not that. The security was there, but it was very relaxed time in Sweden. I could walk around there and film and do stuff. And my father worked there as the head of the economic department. So I was raised there. I knew the place. And what the nuclear plant is really a steam engine based on water. Now, when I stared down into the tank in the nuclear plant when I did the filming, I didn't understand that I was staring down into Enki's machine, water technology, magic force, science, and all of that combined into one machine. And a nuclear plant is not that far away from a pyramid at all. It's just a modern form. And people doesn't understand that it is based on water. And when the water is used, they pump the water out in the ocean. And we traveled on that water and catch fishes because they liked it there because the water was clean and warm. And nothing dangerous about it, right? But people think about Hulk and shit like that. But it's a very profound machine.
Yeah, it's like The Simpsons when you see the three-eyed fish. That's what we've learned.
Yeah, you should have some security in place, and you can argue that there are some things that ain't that good, but the technology is very powerful, of course. This is the Enki machine in modern form. But the Enki machine, the nuclear plant based on water, is the start of some more profound technology. And of course, we end up in the Second World War and the Nazis, because now the race become about heavy water, because heavy water is a base ingredient in nuclear weapon, atomic weapon, and big weapon that can destroy worlds and tear cities apart. And this technology is based on heavy water, of course. Now the Nazis, they didn't want to destroy the world. They had the idea of recreating the Atlantic period, and for them it was a very romantic, beautiful moment in time, where Roman buildings with huge columns and huge buildings rising up again. They didn't want to destroy it. But of course, this was a race of time, who will win, and the bigger the weapon, the bigger the loss, of course. But I still believe that the Nazis have another thing in mind when they wanted to create the nuclear, the atomic bomb and so on. I don't think they had in mind to drop it off. I think they could win the race if they wanted destruction and wanted to win to any cost. They would be the first one who would drop the bomb on the Allies. But they had a different mind. They didn't want to use the weapon for war purpose. Therefore, they waited. They knew something else. They knew that the atomic bomb could do some esoteric magic for them, and heavy water was a very important ingredient in this weapon. And now we come back to Enki again, of course. Heavy waters, technology, force, fire. And in the next part, I will talk about the tower, but I will start to talk about it a little bit here, because I want to wrap this up. And Kadingir-Raki was the Tower of Babylon, destroyed by Ninurta, and Ninurta is the son of Enlil, because what they wanted to do was to open up the matrix and take out some information, knowledge to connect. It's a form of necromancy, really. But also, when you do the necromancy and you try to connect to older matrix form, you also aim at the stars. It's like Sirius is Enki, Dagon star. Therefore, you should connect to Sirius and open up information, and by doing so, open up information from previous matrix. The dead but dreaming. Therefore, you have two forces, two archetypes working against each other, but they have the same goal. You have the boatman and you have the tower. And either you are the boatman or you are the tower. And then you have all the humanity in between these archetypes. And now we are racing up against a new matrix. The age of Aquarius is a water age. And we will see a huge shift very soon in humanity. Either we try to go through this matrix to the next with our memory intact, with science, with language, or we have to start all over again. Now, I'm not saying that science is bad. It depends on how we're doing it. I'm not saying that the masculine is bad. I think when we build up science, civilization, technology, going further away from the womb, we start also to understand what the womb is, because we can see very clearly that it is two polar opposites. And we start to understand the forces and the mechanism that going on. When we implode, you have to catch all that knowledge in a millisecond of time, become the boatman and travel through before it collapses. Otherwise, you have to start all over again. And if the tower is built and the esoteric elite succeed and we don't succeed, they will control us in the next matrix as well. Because we will not have any power, we will not have any memory, we will not have any technology, we will have nothing. And if they get their way this time around, they will do exactly what Enlil wanted to do, but with technology. They want to connect you to a hive mind tower, and you become an android connected to the tower. And that's the end of the human. We know it in this matrix and over to the next one. And that's the reason why they want to do it. They don't want you to become a boatman. They don't want you to wake up. They don't want you to take back the power. They don't want you to become a boatman or be on board on a boat. I want you to be on board, and I don't want any lifeboats for the elite. They are all sold. Because in the next matrix, we should take back everything they have taken from us. And that matrix will not be a prison, because a prison is only a prison if you can't soul travel, if you don't have any power, if you can leave whenever you want. This ain't a prison. And some believe that the next matrix will be the last one. And if I am correct that every matrix is like 12,000 years, then I think we should take it back and we can explore it fully together at last as a family. So when the boatman comes, the tower follows. Or when the tower comes, the boatman follows. And you see, the Noah's flood in the Old Testament is right before the tower moment. But the Old Testament is not about time, but it is about archetypes and forces playing out against each other. What they try to tell you in the Old Testament is that when the boatman comes, the echo of that echoes out in time and space, and sooner or later the tower will rise again. But it can be the opposite. When the tower is rising, it echoes out, and sooner or later a boatman will arrive. How close is it in time? For the most part, very close. Because it is, as I said, it's building, and then it collapses. Therefore, the incidents are, for the most time, when we come to a collective experience, very close to each other. But we have like small boatman moments. For example, when your body breaks down, that's a small individual boatman moment. And I think that the Tower of Babylon moment can be an effect from the big tower moment that was Atlantis, and the Noah was the boatman after Atlantis, and that Gilgamesh was the boatman just before the Tower of Babylon. Now the first tower, when did it appear this time around in recent time? The first tower was a bomb, an atomic bomb, and it was Oppenheimer who created the first tower. And a very famous quote from Oppenheimer is, "Now I become death, the destroyer of worlds." Now he should have said, "Now I have become the necromancer, the key of time and space." Because when one of these bombs go off, it ripples hole in the fabric of this matrix and let loose spirits, and some believe UFOs, overbridging the matrix, this matrix with old matrix. And I think that is the main reason why the Nazis wanted this technology. And they had it in mind, and therefore they didn't use it as a weapon against the Allies, or they waited too long. Because they didn't want to bomb Earth into oblivion. Their idea was to create a beautiful future, a new Atlantic period, but they needed to contact the great old ones or the old matrix to distract information, to awaken the great old ones or the memory of them. Esoteric knowledge was the lore, was the coin, and the one who was most into it was Heinrich Himmler, and he was very interested in runes and stuff like that. And SS was not only the name of the stormtroopers, but also the Black Sun.
Right.
And there you have it. The Black Sun, 666, Sirius, Enki, Dagon, the great old ones, the great deep, the moon, the black, the swastika. And then Jack Parsons made an esoteric ritual called Babylon Working, where he used technology to achieve some results. And Jack Parsons was, of course, the rocket scientist, and he was a disciple of Aleister Crowley. But I think he took a step away from Crowley when he started to use technology in this way. But what he is talking about is Enki, the scientist, the magic, the fire, the force. And he's called it Babylon Working. Now, Babylon is not necessarily a reference to Babylon in and of itself. It is a bigger word here. It refers to a bigger word, a bigger phenomena. But Babylon is also 77. The number is 77. And as I said, Dagon is 777. So it's a very close connection there. And I decoded the Wizard of Oz, and I said the Oz is 77. And you have the new Disney logo with the tower and the star. And the star is, of course, Oz and Sirius. There's very close connection there between all of this. And Jack Parsons was killed. Some believe it was an accident. He was if I remember correctly, it was burned down in his house. Some believe it was an accident, some believe it was a hit job. And he worked for NASA. And that's also very interesting, right? NASA is all about science, magic, force, fire, expansion. And you have this plus, masculine, 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 and then implosion.
Yeah.
And when the bomb is building up, it is fire, fire, force, 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 but it's not what kills you, but it is the implosion that kills you. It is when it goes back to the womb that kills you. And it is during that moment you have to die. You have to die in order to awaken anew. So when it builds up, masculine, 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 and when it implodes, you go back to the womb. When this force is in perfect equilibrium, you can understand it all. And you can pierce the veil, and you can see through the illusion, because now we can start to understand what I'm talking about. And this is because of internet, fire, force, language, memory, technology. It's nothing bad. These two forces need to exist in order for you to be free, in order for you to understand what's going on. But you can work with these forces inside of yourself if you close off the outside world, go into your temple, go into your darkness, go into yourself and start to work with the feminine, the masculine. And Lucifer has stated that you need your heart and you need your brain. And if you lose either the brain or the heart, you are lost. You need both of them. And if you believe that the elite have their heart intact, then it's your belief. I believe that they are barely humans. They have gone so far. And I could argue even that they need to do the ritual for them to be able to take physical form in matter, because they are so far removed. They need their dark, esoteric, Saturn demiurgic practice in order for them to have a foothold in the matrix. Now, there is no reason to vaccinate a lot of humans in hope for them to die if they come back. Now you have to convince them. Now when we have built the infrastructure, when we have done their bidding, they want to do away with us. And with the technology, they can open up the skies and they can convince us that we should leave. Otherwise, we will come back. And understand that your mind is such a powerful thing. What you believe in is what you get. If you aim for heaven, you will have heaven. You will go back, you will leave, and many people will leave. That is not a boatman moment. That is not a boatman. A boatman is overbridging this matrix to the new one for us to create the new real matrix for us. A new one where we get rid of the elite. Now it is a matter of time between the boatman and the tower archetype. And now I have the last slide here, and it's just to overbridge and go towards the third part. We had a second part before that one, but I want to remind you that in the Lord of the Rings you have this tower. And of course Sauron is the Lord of the Rings, and the Lord of the Rings is Saturn, and Saturn is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end of every matrix. Zeus had to defeat Kronos to start the Olympian age. The Olympian gods took over the Titans, and now the Olympian ruled. And today you will see many black cubes in cities and in buildings. And the black cube is, of course, the black cube of Saturn. It is a sign of the end times. And I think we have maybe 50 to 70 years ahead of us of struggle. And, but yeah, I think it is our time. I think we will become the boatman. I think at least some people will be on board. I do think that many people will leave. Before, they didn't want us to leave. They gave us another story and closed the skies because they need us back to build the infrastructure in place. But now we have. Now they want us to leave. Now they want us gone because at the same time, we have built the infrastructure. Now we are the threat to the same infrastructure we built. If chaos start to reign, if we start to awaken, we are many more than they are. And they know that it's a matter of time right now. That's the reason why they push the agenda so hard. Now in the Lord of the Ring, it is Sauron that is the tower, of course. And if you read the Lord of the Ring, the movies are great, but of course it is very limited. In the books, you will know that Sauron had physical form during one age, and then it became the eye in the third age, and the tower. Yeah, that's the presentation.
That was wonderful. Thank you, David. That might be my favorite one yet because it's so spanning. Maybe the sense of urgency has been raised, but also the hope. So yeah, really appreciate it. For some, I don't know how my brain works, but I was thinking of that old 80s song by Irish singer Chris de Burgh, Don't Pay the Ferryman. Probably a few people know it, but I'd say we need to pay the ferryman. Regardless of what the song and Anthony Peake think, we need to pay the ferryman. So great job. So much to unpack. Vance, I'm going to throw it at you. Any questions from you? The audience, I was looking. Great conversations in the chat.
Yeah.
They're really digging. Hundreds of people were just coming up and complimenting your ideas, David. It was great.
Yeah, I've never seen the chat so aligned with the presentation. A lot of times we'll have people in the chat talking about the presentation, but there'll be a lot of side chats. But people really focused on this, and it was very riveting and fascinating.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, I was right in there with them saying all sorts of things too. It's very inspiring. The one question I remember is, you said Noah was part of the Gilgamesh epic. Was he called Noah, or what was his name?
Unapishkin, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. That was interesting.
Yeah,
And,
he has two different names. Unapishkin is one, and another is, I'm sorry, I don't remember it now. But he is in the Gilgamesh myth, but with another name.
Interesting. And I was wondering, how would you relate the one of the famous boatmen, Charon, the Greek boatman, and he causes you to lose your memory when you cross into the on the river Styx. How does that relate with the other boatmen?
Yeah, I feel good question, Vince, and I was going to take this up. Yeah, I feel that Charon is in the Greek mythology is based on the boatman mythology, but they have twisted around a little bit. And now they say he's only taking souls to the realm of the dead. But the original boatman idea, mythology, I think, is a man who can travel through the matrix words to the old ones and to this one, and to help other seekers to cross over and to take out some information and knowledge and memory from the previous waters or firmaments.
Yeah. So Charon was kind of a failed boatman, really, because he's
Yeah,
erasing memories instead of carrying them forth.
exactly. And I think also there is a propaganda going on where they take everything that can empower us to really beat us with it, and yeah, they distort things. But I think the original myth is the boatman myth that Sharon is based on. But I don't know that, but that's what I feel.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I thought it was also interesting about the correlation between Atlantis and the Great Flood, because Atlantis died in a great flood, basically, as the island sunk. So that
Yeah,
was pretty cool. We
yeah.
had
So,
3 super chats here, but no questions from the super chatters, even though they had the opportunity. Chester, who is a very frequent contributor. Thank you, Chester. Polaris 23 gave us his thanks, and thanks. You're very welcome, Polaris. Always good to see you in the chat. He's a very frequent visitor to our chats. And Francis of Sophia Klatt also gave us a gem.
Klaatu. Nectar.
yeah.
Stay going here. Yeah,
Yeah,
Brother
thank you
Nicta,
very
right?
much. Thank you very much for the support. Yeah, I think we probably should wrap it up. We've gone a long while. My quick question is, people might ask, what is the method, David? I want
Yeah,
to
the
get out.
method.
Yeah, all this
Yeah,
information doesn't help unless we can get out, the tools to get out.
there are good methods. I use the left-hand path method, and they say it's dark, and it's not for all. You have to be prepared and to go into unconscious to the darkness and transform it. You really need the right attitude while you're doing it. If you do it for selfish reasons, I don't think you should, it's a good idea. Can you fail? Can you stumble and fall? Absolutely. What I can uh, tell people, start slow and don't over. You need wisdom and you need discernment. A good way to start is just to buy a tarot deck and meditate on the cards, because they're very powerful. And I heard that you, Miguel, and your wife have designed one. I surely want one of those decks, but I can buy one from you in August. But the tarot deck is wonderful. Yeah, cool, very cool.
Oh, cool.
And so I recommend meditate on the tarot. For example, Dagon is attributed with the moon and the hermit. If you want to have some dreams, conscious dream, meditate on the tarot card, the moon and the hermit. Then I recommend you to create your own temple you can go into and meditate. And if you want to take one step further, you should meditate on some sigils. The sigils is attributed to different gods. Dagon have one sigil, for example, and you can try to get in contact with him through the sigil meditation. Of course, you need to put up the ritual, your temple. Remember, do it very slowly and do it with wisdom and go about it with the right attitude. Otherwise, you will end up hurting yourself. And I can promise you, when you really get in contact with these forces, it is like a sledgehammer. Nothing will be the same. It's like be knocked. When I started to get contact with Lucifer, my old self was dead and my own old reality was gone. Because then I knew these forces are real and you can communicate with them and you can have a meaningful understanding, knowledge with them, and a very powerful ally and help
Wonderful.
on
Thank
your
you. Thank you.
journey.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we probably better wrap it up. I know I have to run. I guess Vance put up a question there.
Yeah, Polaris gave a super chat, so I felt obligated to put his last minute question in, which is commensurate with what we usually ask people at the end of the chats. Do you have classes, and if so, where can we find them?
Yeah, you can go into my channel and you will find information there. One of my clips there, I'm talking about the course. I started course. I started in January, but on Sunday I will add the last students to the course, and then it have gone too far. Then I can't take in more people. Sunday is the last day I will consider to take in more. It's a lot of work, but I'm also I really mean it. I know humanity, we stand in front of a matrix wall. You can feel it, you can see it, the technology is just building up. Something big will happen, and if I can help the human race, my family, I will do it.
Awesome. Wonderful. We'll check it out. And again, David's channel is in the show notes. But we are at the end, and David will continue the next one in April.
Yeah.
So be patient
Great.
and yeah, start waking up and doing the method, doing the work. Well, Vance, thank you very much for keeping us company on this journey.
Well, I had a good time. I really enjoyed this one.
Thank you, Vince. And thank
Yes,
you, Miguel. And thanks to the audience. Wonderful to be here as always. And this is just a treat to be in this dire age of humanity, but it is a very exciting one, and we will win.
Yeah, we all have the power. We all have the skill. Each one of us, we all can make a difference. So yeah, David, thank you very much. And everybody, have a good rest of your Friday, your Freya day, and a good weekend. Take care, everybody. Good night. Good day.
Good
Good
night.
night. Goodbye.
Good everything.